Can commissioners please check in? I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Bowl Council of Commissioners special meeting for Wednesday, June 19th, 2024 to order. Clerk, could we please have roll call?
10 present, 1 absent.
10 present, 1 absent. Please note that, what do we have now? Oh, Commissioner Reardon is recovering from surgery, and so we wish him the best. Next, could we move to the prayer and the pledge? Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, fellow commissioners. Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which will greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver Bowl. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we best please you and serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll move up to any public comment on any item on the agenda, and we only have one item on the agenda for the special meeting here. So if you'd like to come forward, state your name. Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the special meeting. J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive, is calling for a special meeting of the Butte-Silver Bowl Council of Commissioners for Wednesday, June 19, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. in the Council Chambers, Room 312. The purpose of the meeting is to authorize the Butte-Silver Bowl Council of Commissioners to conduct interviews for the purpose of appointing a qualified successor to the vacant District 1 Commissioner seat, preceding the regular meeting. We have one communication number 2024-294, Michelle Shea of the Butte-Silver Bowl Council of Commissioners requesting to conduct interviews for the purpose of appointing a qualified successor to the vacant District 1 Commissioner seat. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would like the Deputy County Attorney Shea to describe the process for serving out the rest of this year. There was an error in the request for the special meeting, a little bit of confusion. So just to explain the statute and what the candidates could expect next if they were selected.
Commissioner Shea, Mr. Chief Executive, under the ordinance for Butte-Silver Bow, when there's a vacancy for council of commissioner, the council, after they've picked a qualified candidate, they are selected to until the next general election. And then where the confusion came in was because we've already done a primary, we thought that there wouldn't be the possibility for general election. However, Montana Code annotated provides for nonpartisan vacancies 13-14-118. And if you're beyond the 85 days to the general election, then the governing body, which would be you, would ask the clerk and recorder for 10 days to allow the nomination, exception of statements of candidacy for the general election for that seat. So even if you had 12 or however many, you could have that many for the general election, and then the number one vote getter would then fill out the rest of that term. It wouldn't be a full commissioner term. They would fill out the rest of the Mr. Frederickson's term.
Thank you, Deputy County Attorney Shea. Okay. And so with that, as we move forward with the meeting here, I'll have Commissioner Shea talk about the process here.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Our clerk, Ross Melvin, has cards, 1 and 2. And ask you guys to choose a card to decide who goes first and who goes second. If you wouldn't mind. All right.
All right. So we'd ask Mr. Thielen to wait out in the hallway. We'll close the doors and conduct the interview here. And then once we're finished, we'll ask Mr. Morgan to step out into the hallway and let Mr. Thielen go through the interview process. So welcome, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I even hit the button.
Yeah, you got it right. Lit it up correctly. All right.
All right. So we've prepared a few questions for the candidates. And first of all, I would ask you to state your name and address for the record.
Great, thank you. My name is John P. Morgan, 2630 Meadowbrook Lane here in Butte.
Okay, thank you. First question is, how would you describe the role of the Council of Commissioners?
Thank you, Chairman Shea, members of the council. The role of the Council of Commissioners is the legislative body of Butte-Silver Bow. They control the budget. We go through a budget process to look at the expenditures. We approve those. But more importantly, I think the Council of Commissioners' role is to work with the Chief Executive of the time to make sure that the city, county is running efficiently and effectively. Their other role is to work with the community and listen to their concerns and try to help them out as much as they can to try to relieve some of their issues that are brought forward. And another role is to attend the council meetings every Wednesday and other meetings that come up as well.
All right, thank you. Next question, what motivated you to seek this position?
Sure. So looking back, it's been 3.5 years since I represented District 3 as a commissioner. And During that time, I realized that there's more to do on Wednesday nights than attend commissioner meetings. But also during that time, I realized how much I enjoyed working with the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow, especially the community. I did try to keep tabs on what was going on up here, but when you're not directly involved, you lose touch with some of that. And so I really wanted to get back involved in this process. It's a good process, listening to people. This is a different district than what I represented before, so it brings new challenges. It brings a new district, it brings new individuals, new issues, new problems, and I really want the opportunity to continue where I left off of working with people to find those solutions to those problems. And I believe I can do that, working with you all.
All right, thank you. Next question. Tell us about a time you had to work diplomatically with a group of people with a wide variety of opinions to address a complex issue and make a decision.
Sure. One of them could be working with the council themselves. There's numerous bodies up here. Everybody has their opinion. When I was chair of the council, you have to listen to everybody and make sure that you're doing the best for the community. And that can be challenging at times, but we have to always remember that we're here for the community and we all need to work together. One direct thing that comes to mind is when I was a commissioner, the subdivision behind Hillcrest School came up when I was a newly elected commissioner, so it was one of my first issues that I had to work with. We had some upset individuals, we had some people that wanted to develop, and so there was no clear-cut path of how to make it work. And really part of that was working with both sides and listening to what each side needed and try to make it work. Looking back at that process, we went back to the drawing board several times. What's there today is completely different than what was originally planned. There were some upset people, and the one thing that I realized as a commissioner is you're not going to make everybody happy, but as long as you can all work together for the common good, that's what the role of a commissioner is. Those type of issues happen all the time. They don't just happen in our districts, the districts that you represent, they happen around the whole city. I remember going to Ramsey for some meetings. The property owners there had some concerns. As far as me representing District 3, I had no teeth in the game at that level, but then when it came to the full body, I had to still listen to what they had to say and make changes to work with them to come up with solutions. And that's my goal, is not just bringing problems to the table and walking away, it's bringing the problems to the table and working together with everybody to get the process done.
Thank you. Next question. Provide us an example of a challenging situation you faced and how you successfully navigated it to a positive outcome.
The one issue that comes to me with that was during COVID, when we had to try to conduct public meetings without the public being involved per se in person. We had the consent decree that we were trying to take action on. As some of you will recall, in order to do that, we had to have letters drafted, sent into us, and we had to come up with a way to get those letters into the public record. So at that time, I drew the lucky straw and got to read all of those letters into the record verbatim to what people said. And so at that time, I remember when we were trying to design the process, it was like, there is no way to do this, and how are we going to overcome this? But at the end of the day, we have to keep the government functioning. So we all worked together and we got it done, right? We had our public meetings, we got public input, and I feel it was successful in the sense of allowing people the opportunity to still be engaged during a pandemic that was going on.
Thank you. Next question. Tell the citizens of District 1 and the council why you feel you would be the best choice for this position.
Sure. You know, I bring a lot of experience with the council. I did serve for 12 years here. You know, as an interim type situation that we have right now, I'd be able to hit the ground running. my phone number, I believe, is still posted out there, and people still try to call to get me involved in things. And that's the thing. And like I said before, it's a different district, different individuals. Want to get to know them, listen to their concerns, and try to bring them, up to the council, try to get some things alleviated, and really just listen to them and see what they need and work together with everybody.
And last question, if you are selected, when would you be able to start?
As soon as I get sworn in, if it's before next Wednesday, I would be here next Wednesday.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Morgan.
You bet. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you.
It's your ballot. Welcome, Mr. Thielen. Hi. So tonight, Madam Chair will be asking all the questions, so I will let her take the lead on the question and answer portion of this.
How about it?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. First thing is, would you just please state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Ben Thielen, 3210 Hannibal Street.
All right, thank you, and welcome.
Hey, thanks.
First question, how would you describe the role of the Council of Commissioners?
Well, I believe that the Council of Commissioners is to oversee the contracts and take care of the Silver Bow's property, probably take care of the all the employees in the county, take care of all the constituents in the county, and everything else that we would have going forth.
Sorry, I write slow.
Take your time.
Thank you.
I could talk slower if you want.
Would you please? No, I'm just kidding. Next question, what motivated you to seek this position?
Well, I'm retired, and I believe now that I've got a lot of time to put back into the county, as I've got nothing better to do. I'm not saying that this isn't a good job to have something to do, but I'd like to give back to the community. I've been here for my whole life, so just being civilly orientated.
Okay, next question. Tell us about a time you had to work diplomatically with a group of people with a wide variety of opinions to address a complex issue and make a decision.
Really, you want to ask me that question with my previous employment?
I sure do.
Well, as most of you know, I was in the bail bond business for almost 25 years. Oh, sorry.
There you go.
I didn't know it was touch sensitive.
It is.
With that, I wasn't dealing with some of the nicest people that are in town, but at the same time, I always had a good outcome with the people that I had to deal with.
Next question, provide us with an example of a challenging situation you faced and how you successfully navigated to a positive outcome.
Well, again, I'll refer back to my previous employment. There was times, and the laws have since changed, and that's one reason I've gotten out of it, but if you had to go to pick somebody up that didn't show up for court, you have to be diplomatic in a way to where things don't go south, somebody gets hurt, or you get hurt, and I think I did that pretty well. In 25 years, nobody really got hurt, including myself, other than a pulled hamstring, but that's another story.
Okay, next question. Tell the citizens of District 1 and the council why you feel you would be the best choice for this position.
Well, I have the time to put into this position. I know that a lot of this is very time demanding, and I do have the time to offer to the council and any commissions that I may be put on to give back to the community and represent my district.
Okay, last question. If you are selected, when can you start?
I don't care tonight if you need me, but whenever you need me. Like I said, I'm available. I'm retired, so if you need me tonight, let's go. I'm sure there's a learning curve. But I'd also like to say, you know, between myself and John, whoever you pick's going to be a good candidate. And with John being on the commission before, he would be a good pick as well. So with that, I got nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Thielen.
All right.
You can go ahead and just have a seat.
Yeah.
And would you mind, Dave? Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Thielen. So now we'll ask for the,
So does everybody have a
yeah,
fancy ballot?
does everyone have a ballot that they would to put in? There are 10 commissioners here tonight, and if there happens to be a tie, that would be the only time that the chief executive would have to weigh in. So don't put me in that position.
Did everybody put their names on their ballots?
Yeah, you need to put your name on it. Yeah, no, I kind of jumped in and just told people to vote. And now we'll ask for the clerk to read the votes. In the next election.
Hattie Thatcher, Morgan. Justin Fortune, Thielen. John Sorich, Morgan. Josh O'Neill, Morgan. Eric Mankins, Morgan. Michelle Shea, Morgan. Tommy Walker, Morgan. Dan Callahan, Morgan. Jim Fisher, Morgan. Bill Anderson, Morgan. With a total of 9 for Morgan and 1 for Thielen.
Okay. So with that, Mr. Morgan will be the successful candidate. I want to thank you both coming forward and offering your services to the community. It takes participation from citizens like you to step up and be part of that. And so, Ben, thank you very much for stepping forward to be a part of this. And John, thank you for doing that as well. So with that, Commissioner Shea.
Let me find my stuff here. So I would make a motion to appoint John Morgan as the qualified successor to the District 1 seat.
We have a motion and a second to appoint John Morgan as a successor to District 1 seat. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Mankins.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I would just, with the insurance piece or anything like that, is that something that, does that move forward at this time that he's appointed afterwards, or how does that work with him specifically, or?
Commissioner Mankins, I'm not sure on the question. Commissioner Shea.
I believe he needs to be sworn in
Well,
by the
yeah,
district judge.
'kay.
Yep, and then his effective date would be after he's sworn in.
Thank you.
Thanks for that answer, Commissioner Shea. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive. So, according to County Attorney Shea, they will both run for election in November?
Well,
Or if they
Mr.
file?
Thielen would have to do a declaration of candidacy, and so would Mr. Morgan. Anybody who wants to run would have to do that within that 10-day period that is set out by the council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy County Attorney Shea. Any other questions from commissioners? Seeing none, could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Okay, and with that, I will take a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Those opposed? We are adjourned. Okay. We will pretty quick. I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Bowl Council of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, June 19, 2024 to order. Commissioners, can you please check in? Clerk, could you please have roll call?
Present, 1 absent.
10 present, 1 absent. Once again, Commissioner Reardon is out today. We've already done the prayer and the pledge, so I don't think we need to do that again. So next we'll move on to any public comment on any item on the agenda tonight. So if you'd like to speak on any item on the agenda, please come forward, state your name, address, and what you would like to speak about. Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the June 5th, 2024 regular meeting. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from June 5th, 2024.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. We don't have any items that are not addressed on tonight's agenda, so we'll move on to the Chief Executive's report. I'll make it short and sweet tonight. I want the commissioners to know that we are going to start, we asked for the community to work on water conservation, and it seems to not be really working very well. The consumption of of the water from the Basin Creek Reservoir and what the public is using is exceeding what we normally do at this time of the year. And as all of you may know, we have repairs going on at the Basin Creek Reservoir that it requires us to lower the dam level. We have repairs going on at the Molten Reservoir that requires us to lower the level at the reservoir as well. So tonight we're asking to go on to water restrictions. And so we are working with the Public Works Department. There's a communication in there today to let people know that. We wanted to avoid the word restriction, but it's what we need to do, and it's going through a little bit of pain to make sure that we protect our water source for the future. And so I want you to know that's the reason that we're doing this. We are really at risk if we continue the consumption that we have right now to really have some severe water problems throughout the summer. So the next thing I want to talk about is that registration is now open for people that want to be part of the study commission. It actually opened yesterday. We want to encourage people that would like to be part of the study commission to review local government to please register. They will be on the ballot in November so that we can have, as the Council of Commissioners approved, 9 members, $70,000 for year 1 and an additional $70,000 for year 2 if it needed to take that long to review the local government. So please encourage those civic-minded people that want to impact and take a look at what local government is all about. So with that, I'm going to close the Chief Executive's report and move on to Section 1 consent agenda, A 1 through 4 and B 1 through 29. Commissioner Shea. Yeah, oh yeah. Do we have any friendly amendments or segregations? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I would like to segregate number 5, 2024-288.
Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would like to segregate item number 18, communication number 2024-303.
Okay. Any other segregations and or friendly amendments? Seeing none. Commissioner Shea.
I would, at this time, make a motion to approve the consent agenda, A, committee reports 1 through 4, and B, communications 1 through 29, with the exception of item 5, communication number 2024-288, and number 18, communication number 2024-303.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yeas, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving to item number 5, communication number 2024-288. John Moudray, Community Enrichment Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher sign 2 agreements with Municipal Parking Services Incorporated, a Minnesota company to provide equipment and platform services for parking enforcement for the Butte-Silver Bow. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I want to have the floor for a minute. I don't feel this is a good agreement for Butte-Silver Bow or the constituents of Butte-Silver Bow. To spend another $87,000 to put into a parking commission has been losing over $200,000 a year since I've been here, and probably well before that. I just don't see where we're getting anywhere with this. So I just gotta vote against this, and if anyone else has input, but I just don't see where this is gonna work, because the vandalism in Uptown Butte is not, it runs rampant. And these cameras being all over, they're gonna get vandalized. And there's other things in the agreement. I read here something about the media. I can't find it here now on this one, but something about the media can't tell anything about this agreement without the consent of the vendor and the Butte-Silver Bow. There's just some things in this contract just don't look good at all. And I've had people read it that are a little more knowledgeable than I am. But the fact is, I just don't see where Butte-Silver Bow should spend another $87,000 to put in parking. And I know this has nothing to do with it, but in my opinion, I think it's time that we take a hard look at the parking enforcement, the parking division, and everyone. And in my opinion, it's been for years, it's time to quit throwing oats to a dead horse. We've lost our money on this parking thing forever. It's time to shut it down, turn it over to the police department, and let them do the enforcement of the parking and go from there. That's my opinion. I'll make a motion after we hear more. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Chief Executive. My concern with spending the money on this is I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be taking away that money that we're supposed to use for the parking garage will go away. Like we won't, with fencing that in and putting somebody there in a booth to actually protect the parking garage. I feel like we need to finish that first before we go on to something else. I mean, want to have a conversation about that. Thanks.
Commissioner O'Neill, I'd like to speak to that a little bit. Yes, this would be using the money for that. This technology provides that security. It also provides our parking enforcement officers the ability to use that software. Our stuff is outdated. We already have to, we will have to use new software. We will have to update that. There would be a cost to that as well. This coordinates a lot of things, but I would like to, if it's okay with the commissioners, to have Mr. Moudray, Director Moudray from Computing Enrichment, to come up and talk about this. We do have a representative to talk about what this does. Part of this agreement, though, protects safety. Emergency areas where people are parking in front of hydrants and in crosswalks, things like that. And so there's a cost share in here that we can recoup. And so I'd like to invite Mr. Moudray up. Is that okay? Director Moudray.
Thank you, Chief. Excuse me. Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher and members of the council. There was a lot of questions in Commissioner Fisher's statements there. It is actually $83,900, and that is a 5-year lease, and that averages out to $16,780 per year. Right now, we're currently paying for the system, the antiquated system that we have for enforcement, about $9,000 a year. So the actual outlay of funds is only, approximately $7,000 a year. So, and there's two portions to these two agreements. The first one is the safety sticks, the non-parking, no parking agreement. That is for the placement of the safety sticks in areas that, for safety reasons. Crosswalks, the safety zones themselves, fire hydrants, those areas that should never be parked in. And so this agreement would place those. That is a no cost to Butte-Silver Bow. The only cost to Butte-Silver Bow is a 50% cost sharing of the citations that are written. So Butte-Silver Bow would receive 50% of the revenue. MPS will do all the notification. Their software system will hold all the data within it. It's called Sentry. And so that one is, just a 50% cost share. And then for the parking side of it, we are using a system currently that is costing us about $5,000 a year for licensing of that. And we have antiquated handheld devices that do not function all the time. In fact, at one point this year, we almost went back to handwriting tickets for the 2-hour parking and for any other violations. Now, this company did come in, MPS came in and did a pilot project for us. They installed 2 safety sticks. They installed 2 cameras in our garage, which are license plate reading cameras. So we had data that we were averaging violations, or not violations, but non-parking people in that parking garage. The average was about 120 a day. We are currently collecting, right now, within the parking garage in citations, less than $100 a month. So this equipment, the Sentry platform, is paramount for us to keep functioning as a parking commission. This was vetted through many, many departments. The parking commission has been looking at this for 6 months. The chief executive has been looking at it. The budget department has. Our IT department has. These 2 contracts were vetted by the county attorney's office. We've had input from staff. I have worked diligently with MPS and 2 other companies to get this to a point where, you know, we can make it functional through parking. We can make it so it is not profitable, but so it is at least paying the bills. And you know, we're at the point that the systems we're dealing with right now do not work. They are going to fail on us. We have a 12-year-old license that we're working with Cardinal, and that's our ticketing program. They will not give us an additional contract until we purchase new software and hardware. So we're at a very critical point as far as parking goes. I feel it's a very good use of those funds. Those funds, like I said, it's a 5-year prepaid lease, which averages out to $16,000 per year. At the end of that 5-year lease, we can option out to purchase the equipment and then to start pay licensing fees on all of that equipment going forward after the 5 years. I do have a representative from MPS here, Rob Matthews. He is their Vice President of Sales. And just to another point, Rob and I met for lunch today, and he happened to bring in the founder of the company. He flew his private jet into Butte, Montana to sit down and meet with us and to talk with us, myself, I guess, not us, myself, but Joe Caldwell was here. He is the founder of the company. I did not know he was coming until they showed up for lunch, and he flew in his private plane. He got on his plane this afternoon and had meetings in Idaho. But he did take the time to come in, meet with me, and discuss what I got an education today, more than I've had in the past 6 months over this. We are really missing the boat when it comes to parking in Uptown Butte. And it's not a revenue thing for Butte-Silver Bowl. It's the flow of traffic and the safety issues. I would ask the indulgence of the council if I could have Rob come up and answer any of your questions and give you a little insight into MPS. They're leading edge.
Okay. Before you go, I think some of the commissioners have questions for you. Commissioner Shea, and then I think Commissioner Sorge. I think there's questions that are coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I mean, I could have heard all kinds of information all night without hearing about the company's private jet. Just to be honest, I mean, you know, that's a tough pill to swallow for working people, you know, for Butte people. I just wanted to make that point, but question number 1 is, the 50% cost share of the citations, is that citations issued or citations collected?
Commissioner Shea, Director Moudry.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Shea, that is collected.
Okay.
And that is only citations within the parking garage and only citations that are issued by the safety sticks. Nothing else to do with what we're issuing with the handhelds. And they are not getting into any of our permit revenue or any of that kind of stuff.
Follow up, Commissioner Shea.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions here. Who owns the data? If all of the data is being collected by MPS, and they're issuing, you know, doing the notifications and whatnot, who owns the data? If we were to terminate our services with them, who owns that data?
Commissioner Shea, Director Moudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Shea, the data is shared between us and MPS. MPS would have no reason to own the data if we were to terminate the contract, but we will have the data. They will also have the data on there. It's stored on a cloud system.
Okay, thank you. If I may.
Yes, Commissioner.
What is the estimated time frame to recoup the $9,000 or the $7,000 difference?
Commissioner Shea, Director Moudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Shea, the time frame to recoup the $84,000 or $83,900 is projected in the first year.
Thank you, Director Moudry. So, Commissioner Sorich, I believe you were next.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Mr. Moudry, thank you for being here. Parking's very tricky in Butte, Montana. It always has been. You know, we've been sometimes accused of throwing money down a hole for parking in uptown Butte. So I got a couple questions also. My first one is that parking garage, is that full? I mean, completely full every day? Or is it just, do we keep any numbers on how many cars are parked in there on a daily basis, let's say between the business hours?
Commissioner Sorich, Director Moudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Sorich, yeah, we do keep numbers on that. We have permits sold in the garage on any given month, anywhere from 40 to 60. Daily parking is averaging about 70 to 75 vehicles per day. So the garage has a total of 213 spots. But we have a lot of people parking in that garage that are not paying. We have no way to monitor it.
Thank you. Commissioner Fisher, you had a question? And then
Thank you, Chief Executive. Thank you, John, for being here. I mean, the statement you just made kind of proved the point that this is not cost efficient. You know, even for $16,000 a year, or whatever it is, it's not cost efficient. We could hire a person to sit at the parking garage. This idea that having these cameras on the street and stuff, you're getting into some private information. I mean, if this data is shared, what can we say that then people don't get that information and have the opportunity to sell that off to someone, and then they can send us, we need warranties on our cars and, you know, this kind of stuff. That's what happens in these deals. When you make a deal and they start getting license plate numbers, and you know, if you know Carfax or anything, you can enter a license plate number, tells you their year, make, model, how many accidents that. It's valid information. I think that's kind of invasion of privacy when you look at stuff like this, because these cameras are going to be reading things, but the enforcement division should go to the police department. You know, your department is enforcement, but we need this to go to the police department where it should have been for years, and I don't know how we're ever going to make up the, you know, the $200,000 or $300,000 a year we lost in all these years. So I just don't see where this is cost effective and going to work, but I'm willing to listen, but I'm not willing to make a move. Thank you.
thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Chief Executive. John, thank you for the presentation. One of the things I worry about too in Commissioner Fisher brought this up in a conversation at one point, is all the apartment buildings and stuff that are going on uptown Butte, as far as, everybody's renovating all the awesome buildings we have up here and putting apartments in them. I mean, they don't have anywhere to park. Obviously parking is an issue. Like, in this process, does that help any of that? Like even the business owners, I'm sure everyone in this room has had a angry business owner in uptown Butte with trying to find a place to park at their business. I mean, will that help any of that flow? I guess that was my long-winded question.
Commissioner O'Neill, Director Moudray.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner O'Neill, that's absolutely why we are looking at this, is so that we get that flow of traffic for the businesses and we get the employees and the residents of uptown Butte places to park. Not on the street, but in our lots, in our parking garage. And so we direct the parking in the right place, so we don't have residents and employees using up our 400 spots on the street every day, every night. And that's exactly why we need this.
Thank you, Director Moudray. I just want to say one thing too. We've been working with City Court with Judge McCarthy as well on this. And we've been trying to say, we need the people that are getting these multiple tickets over and over and over again to pay their tickets. The enforcement of that is hard because of the software and the things that we have that aren't available, that do not provide the information that they need in city court, that he can actually have the evidence they needs to do this. This software takes a picture of the license plate, it date stamps it, it puts the placement of it, it's able to identify whether the car has moved during that time. And Judge McCarthy says directly, this is what he needs to have to be able to collect those fees that we are not collecting. To the point of Commissioner Fisher, you're right, it hasn't been cost effective because we have people that have hundreds and thousands of dollars of parking tickets that they just throw in their back seat and never have to pay them. And Judge McCarthy, working with him, he said this is what they would need to do to enforce that. And so this is kind of moving forward that we have that. And so this is making the parking more efficient. So Commissioner Mankins, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I just wanted you kind of with the Judge McCarthy and just see where he was at with City Court. I'd like to, I'm glad that you reflected on that and what we need to help out that problem. Seeing that we have County Attorney Shea here, Commissioner Fisher brings up the invasion of privacy. Is this an invasion of privacy by doing this?
Commissioner Mankins, Deputy County Attorney Shea.
Thank you. Commissioner Mankins, Mr. Chief Executive, members of the council. Because you're in an open street, your privacy is less. However, when it's been brought up about potentially selling those license plates to other lists, things like that, those things can be addressed in a contract. And I think if there's a concern with that, that is something to take a look at. But if you're out in a public street, you know there's going to be cameras everywhere, and there essentially are, and so that in itself, you have a lesser expectation of privacy.
Thank you, County Attorney Shea. Follow up, Commissioner Mankins, then we'll go to Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you. And then, just to address, we built this before, or approved it before I was on the commission. Quite a few of us at this time, but it is an asset to our uptown Butte, and the safety feature has to be taken in consideration 100%, and this amenity to the public for this parking. So, I know a lot of us are down the rabbit hole, or some of us have talked about where this money's going to go, but what are we going to do? Like, we need this for uptown Butte. We need the safety feature in order for us to feel safe to park in there and have this area to do it. Are we just going to close it off and just demolish it and start over with something else? No. That's just getting irrational at that point. So we have to really look at something, and these are ideas that we always ask someone to come up with, and when Chief Executive Gallagher and Director Mudry have, given us this opportunity to do something about it. So I think it's just something that we really have to look at moving forward. Do we need to do something, as Commissioner Fisher said, with the parking department in general? Yeah, we do. But this is something to assist them to hopefully recoup some of these fees that we've been losing throughout the year after year after year. So I think we really just have to really look hard at moving forward, something that's going to be safe for our community and our Uptown Butte to get more business up to Uptown Butte.
Thank you, Commissioner Mankins. Commissioner Thatcher, Commissioner Anderson, and then we'll go to each of the individual ones.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. This may be for Deputy County Attorney Shea. I think that this is already within the contract, it looks like, the confidentiality, but it says, city shall keep all intellectual property and non-public information belonging to MPS and related to MPS as business confidential and shall not use, disclose, or transfer such intellectual property or information except as permitted by this agreement. Does that save us on Commissioner Fisher's concerns?
Commissioner Thatcher.
Sorry,
sorry.
Chief Executive Gallagher and Commissioners. I have not read that contract, but it sounds like to me they're talking about, when you say intellectual property, it's their program itself. It's not the actual data that they're collecting. But again, to caveat is that I've not read the contract.
Thank you, County Attorney Shea. Follow up, Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Deputy County Attorney Shea. Mr. Mudry. Okay, so I'm looking at this contract. The ticket processing fees, $7 processing fee, but that's listed in there twice. Is that a $14 processing fee, or is that just a $7 processing fee?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Mudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Thatcher, that is their fee to process the license plate, get the information, and issue and send the original letter to the violator. That is their processing fee to do that. We do that in-house right now through the state, but I'm paying an employee to do it, and the state is charging us for every one of those lookups of those license plates. So, it's the $7 they charge to do all that work, to do the mailing, and get the citation out to the violator.
Thank you, Director Mudry. Follow up, Commissioner Thatcher.
So just to confirm, then it is just $7, not $14, because it's just in here twice on A and C. So I don't know if it's $14 that they're getting per ticket or if it's just $7 that they're getting per ticket. I'm just trying to do some math, and we all know how that goes, so I'm just wondering really quick.
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Mudry.
Could you direct me? Sorry, Chief Executive. To where it's at in.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. On page 9, it looks like.
Which agreement?
The no parking agreement for the sticks. No parking zone enforcement services agreement.
Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Thatcher, that is, the processing fee is $7 in that section. That is what they will do by looking up, delivering the ticket by U.S. mail, courier, certified. C is stating that if for some reason Butte-Silver Bow voids a ticket, they are going to want their $7 for the work they've done. So if the violator comes back and for some reason we void the citation, we are responsible to pay the $7.
Thank you, Director Mudry. Follow up, Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Thank you, Director Mudry. So then under minimum performance, each stick, so as far as I'm reading, is it 50 safety sticks? Or up to 50 safety sticks?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Mudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Thatcher. The initial is 20 installed, up to 50 under this contract, under this agreement. So if we decided to go with more, we can add. Now, if we have a stick that is not performing, we have the option of moving it to someplace else or actually returning it. And those will be evaluated on a every 90 days.
Follow-up, Commissioner Thatcher.
Okay, I think that this might be it. So then, based on minimum performance A, the county must generate on our half, because each stick, if we do 50 sticks, if that's what we work to that point, based on my math, so wish us luck here, but $240, so $120 goes to them, $120 stays with us. So we will generate $6,000 in revenue, is that correct? Per month, we have to, otherwise we're paying a portion back to them, is my understanding, if we don't meet the $120 per month.
Commissioner
Or
Thatcher,
240.
Director Moudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Thatcher, each stick will have to generate $100 per stick to break even. So it will have to issue 2 citations per month.
Follow-up, Commissioner Thatcher.
Okay, I get that, but I'm just saying, I guess I'm confused then. So it says we must generate ticket revenue of $240 per month, 120 net to MPS. So I guess I'm confused then how we're meeting the $100 threshold if this is saying on minimum number 4, section A on page 9. So I'm just trying to figure this out. I don't necessarily disagree with Commissioner Fisher. I do think that this would help the situation, so I just want to be comfortable with my own opinion, so.
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Moudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Thatcher, I did speak. I said $100. It's $120 per stick will have to be generated per month to pay for that equipment being seen on our streets.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. I have about 5 or 6 questions here, but I think that some of them may be answered by Mr. Matthews. I see that he was raising his hand there and had some responses to those. So
Would you like to have him come up?
If we could have him come up and give us some more information about this product that you are selling and how it's going to work and how it's going to generate revenue and how it can help us with the parking garage and these other matters, that'd be great. So if you could come up to the microphone here.
Yeah. Thank you,
very
Commissioner
much.
Anderson. Welcome, Mr. Matthews.
Hello, my name's Robert Matthews. I'm one of the founders of MPS. I'm going to address your questions, but I just also want to say that the founder of my company came in today to explicitly say to Mr. Moutry that we don't just sell equipment and walk away. We feel that the equipment that he has is not performing at a level that it should, that's going to be very costly to maintain or replace. And we're making an offer where our equipment, in the case of the safety stick, is being provided at no upfront costs. And in the case of the cameras, is we're covering all the installation, the maintenance, the warranty. We're going to be available every day of these 5 years. We're not going to be some company in Minnesota or Texas that only responds by phone. I came here in person because I wanted to meet you all and I wanted to address these questions. And our founder had the same intention. I hope it didn't appear that he was just flying in or flying out on some whim. He just wanted to reinforce to Mr. Moutry that we're very committed to this relationship. To the lady's question, Ms. Thatcher, the sticks are installed by us. They're provided by us. We install them at no cost. We maintain them, warranty them, even against vandalism. If we have this concept of a performance fee, if there's no violations happening, then we want to have the right to ask Mr. Moutry to move that to another location. Or at his option, say, I don't need this stick. Or, it produced $50 of violations and we owe you $100, can we pay you $50? But at no point are you obligated ever to pay us. You have the option of moving it or ending that stick's useful life. So there's no financial commitment attached to that.
Okay. So, Commissioner Anderson, you had some other questions, I think.
I do. It says that 20 sticks will install 20 up to 50. How do these sticks work? How are you going to go about implementing, and I don't know if this would be for you or Mr. Mudry, but how would you go about implementing where to put these? Do you have ideas where you've used them in before? How does the ticket processing go? It sounds like you process all of that and send it to the people. And so I have those two questions. Where will they be placed around town? Another aspect of that, and then I have a couple comments on that, and you already addressed it, so I'll address it. I actually like that your CEO and co-founder flew in today to meet with the representative. You know, it's nice that you take that time to
Couldn't be
do
here
it.
tonight, he
It's
apologizes.
yes, with the business dealing in Idaho, I'm fine with that. It's nice that he stopped in. It shows to me that you're willing to meet with people and take care of your customers. So I like that. I hope that will continue if we do purchase your product. But in the meantime, I'll give you the opportunity to answer those questions. Where will the sticks be located? How are the tickets handled? And what kind of revenue have they generated in the past?
Thank you,
Okay.
Commissioner Anderson. Mr. Matthews.
So I assume some of you have seen the pictures of the device, and we have two of the devices installed currently around town. John, do you want to say where they're installed currently?
The two are located now, they're on Broadway Street and Dakota Street, right on each corner, on the south side corners, east and west.
And then do you want to kind of talk about how you're going to identify where we're going to put the other ones? Go
Right.
ahead. Yeah, yes, please.
So the device is called the Safety Stick. It's a bollard-shaped device. It's solar-powered, and it only needs about an hour of sun to be powered for the year. We cover all the maintenance on the batteries. It detects when somebody parks in a place that is clearly marked illegal, no parking, or a fire hydrant, or a crosswalk, or too close to an intersection line of sight. It detects that. It detects when they arrive, and it detects when they depart. Then we share that evidence with city officials, could be parking officials, could be law enforcement officials. You designate who has access to this information. And if you agree with us that this is somebody in the wrong place at the wrong time, behaving badly, then you press a button, and we're going to send a notice out to that person, a violation, in the mail. And so there's really two elements here. There's a matter of safety. Thousands of pedestrians are injured in the United States, even in small towns like this, just crossing the street, or accessing public transportation on their bikes, and people illegally parking contribute to those injuries and deaths, and it's in the thousands. There's another element. When people who work hard and play by the rules see people parking in these places that they're not supposed to park, it sends a message that, I don't have to follow the rules. And in law enforcement, that's called the broken window theory, when you would tolerate what seemingly is low-level deviant behavior, but it sends a message to everybody else that, hey, you don't have to follow the rules in Butte. You can park wherever you want. I'm sure that this committee doesn't want that.
Okay.
Did I address your questions?
Can I?
Yes.
Our Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Anderson, as far as where they're going to be placed, that is going to be a collaborative between the Parking Commission, my staff, and MPS's staff to where the most beneficial places. And at this point, the original 20 will be Uptown Business District. That's where they're going to be placed.
Okay. Follow-up, Commissioner Anderson.
Follow-up. Thank you. I like that they're going to be in the business district. One of the problems I see in my neighborhood and district a lot is on Park Street. There's a large population of children walking, especially this time of the year, walking across Park Street to get back and forth to the parks and going to the splash pad and everything, there's trucks and everything else from the college kids, not so much the college kids right now, but other trucks and vehicles in yellow zones. And so when even when I pulled out here, the kids aren't walking the crosswalk, but in the yellow zone, there's cars there, and as a driver, I can't see. I don't have that visibility to see around. So I hope that you'll look at putting some of these in areas around crosswalks where there's going to be children riding their bikes and everything for an additional level of safety. And then one other question I have is, it's been mentioned a few times, and this would be for Mr. Matthews. Do you or your company ever share the information you gather, license plates, what these people have done or anything? Do you ever share that information or keep it in some kind of database or anything? You're not selling it to any third parties, are you?
Commissioner
No, we-
Anderson, Mr. Matthews.
Excuse me, sir?
It's just protocol. I have to identify him and then
Okay.
direct it to you.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. So the answer is no, we do not have permission to share. That is your data, that is our data that we use solely for the purpose of parking and enforcement. And to your attorney's comments, I mean, you could add language, additional language that says, you may not share this information with anyone without our consent. It's already implied in the agreement, but I took a semester of contracts law, and you could put that phrase in there if you want. But it's pretty clear that we do not. We follow all the rules of the law.
Thank you. So Commissioner Sorich and then Commissioner Fortune.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I guess at the end of the day, I can see some real benefits, and Mr. Mickens does say we do need that parking garage, and we committed to it. We spent a whole bunch of money, and Northwestern Energy helped also. But still, at the end of the day, we need people to pay the parking tickets. That's the end of the day. So if they're not paying them now, how is this going to help the people pay them? Are they going to pay them? Right now, we got outstanding tickets. Is that really going to make the people that more incentivized to pay the tickets if they're not paying them now? That's my concern. So also the people that are coming in, the ones that are going to get dinged, they're probably getting dinged most of the people from out of town. They're the ones in the parking garage. Is that a real good incentive also? So I'm not sold this is going to be the best. I'm not one to say that I've gotten phone calls because typically I don't. I have heard from a lot of people and said, is this the best for Butte? So I'm really struggling with this.
Commissioner Sorich, I can answer that question, and I think I did with our City Court Judge McCarthy. This documents, licenses, it goes to him. He can hold them accountable in court. Right now, with our system that we have, he doesn't have the pictures, he doesn't have the license plates, he doesn't have the documentation. So when people come up and contest those tickets right now, he doesn't have the evidence to be able to do that. He has specifically said, if he has this type of evidence going into the parking garage, documenting what car was in there, how long they were in there, did they pay, did they not pay, we definitely can hold them accountable. And that's where the collection can go with this. And I'm speaking with the software because I've been going back and forth a lot on this. This is exactly what it does. It allows for enforcement, because when we had those 50, 60 tickets that people are throwing them in the back of their seat, we had no real proof that they were staying there. They're saying I wasn't there that long, I wasn't there. This documents it, and it makes it across the board with everything, with our parking enforcement in the parking garage and on the safety sticks. All of that software, it goes together and documents work. But I'll let you speak to that as well, Mr. Matthews.
Well, Mr. Mutri was interested in working with us even before we did the pilot, but we said we want to install this equipment in the garage. We want to validate that you have a challenge there that we can address. And what we observed over the period of the pilot is that approximately 10% of the people pay for the parking that they use. 20% were permitted, and the other 70% didn't pay. So the reason why Mr. Mutri, I think, thinks that, and we agree conservatively, that you can break even on your expenditure in the first year on your 5-year contract, is that we're going to drive compliance, which is around 30% now, up to 90%. That's what we do. So people who should pay for the parking? People who actually use it. And we think through this compliance action that we can drive compliance up into the 80s and 90%. Now, that means there are going to be a few tickets in the beginning. But when word gets out that you can't use a city asset and not pay for it, then people will start to behave differently. The other thing I want to say is, I don't believe currently that you have the ability to notify or enforce tickets out of state.
No.
Go ahead. Director Mudrick, go ahead.
Chief Executive Gallagher, no, we do not. We have no way to obtain out-of-state license plate ownership. So any rent-a-car in Butte, Montana right now, we cannot get the owner of the vehicle. The only vehicles we can get ownership of are within the state of Montana. And then within our current ordinance, anybody that is outside of this county, we issue a warning ticket to anybody coming to Butte to shop, to spend their money here. Currently, we do not issue citations. We issue warnings.
I guess the question would be then, would you be able to now?
Yes, so you'll be able to send tickets. We send tickets to all 50 states, and our collection rate is up to 70% in general. So you have these unpaid tickets that I think someone references in the thousands. Some percentage of those that were never paid before are going to be paid when they receive this compelling evidence form that the judge commented on, just on that basis alone.
Okay. Commissioner Fortune, Commissioner Thatcher, and then we'll go back around here. Commissioner Fisher.
Chief Executive, I got a couple questions. I think my biggest question is how does this help the 10 homeless people that hang out in the parking garage every day? I have a tough time seeing how this is a benefit for the parking garage in terms of like public safety. I get we might make some revenue on people that don't pay their parking tickets, but there's still a big problem with the parking garage that this doesn't address.
Commissioner Fortune, those are things that we are addressing with the police department. We have people cleaning it every single day. We have people going through there every single day. We're asking the police department to go through there. So that really isn't parking. That's issues with homelessness and vagrancy, but that's not parking. Follow up, Commissioner Fortune.
So Chief Executive, Mr. Mudry told us that they project that we'll get 83,000 in the first year. The parking commission still loses like 200,000 to 300,000 every year. So in my mind, it's hard to support this when, yeah, it's a benefit, but we're still in the negative on the parking commission. And then to that point, if the judge says that we can't enforce all these parking tickets and we don't have any evidence, why do we even have the parking commission? I know it's the hard truth, but if we can't do any enforcement right now, get rid of the parking commission, like Fisher said.
Commissioner Fortune, I would completely disagree with you. It's about commerce. It's about moving people in the Uptown District. It's getting people to move so they're not parking in front of businesses. If you go to any Uptown, Downtown District, parking is a part of it and enforcement is a part of it. And if you dismantle parking, you are going to have more issues than what we're dealing with right now. I can guarantee you that. So not enforcing and not, so then we don't enforce in safety areas, we don't do that, you're going to have more issues. So I couldn't disagree more, but that's each other's opinion on that. But Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Director Mudry, the pilot program, what are the results? What have we generated with the 2 that we have out?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Mudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Thatcher. To the first point, I would like to address Commissioner Fortune, the $84,000 is over a 5-year period. And if we prepay it, we're paying $84,000. If we don't prepay it and we buy the equipment ourselves and we buy into their platform, it's way more expensive. Helena just spent $500,000 doing the same thing. And now they're going back and they're having to change all of their fee schedules in their parking garages and everything. It was on the front page of the Montana Standard. But this is the most fiscal, responsible way to get the right software, hardware upgraded. And whether parking is doing it, law enforcement is doing it, you're going to need that software and hardware to make it function. To your, I'm sorry, I got on my soapbox. Would you repeat your question, please, Commissioner Thatcher?
Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Yes. With the pilot program, what results have we seen? What have we generated? How many tickets have gone out since we've put them out?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Moudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Thatcher, we did not write any citations in the pilot program at all. And that was, you know, we requested that MPS requested that as us. It was just for data collection. But as Mr. Matthews has said, we're getting parking paid in our garage less than 30% a year. 30% of the, or 70% of the people using our parking garage are using it for free. The citations on those two corners, I don't have the information right in front of me, but it was exponentially went up. And that is what MPS came back and made their recommendations to us. These recommendations have gone to the Parking Commission. They have reviewed them extensively, and they have voted unanimously to go with this agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Moudry. Follow Commissioner Fisher and then Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I happened to meet with Sean Peterson a few months ago down in the county attorney's office. He showed me a box full of parking tickets. No, they never got collected. No enforcement. I mean, nobody paid them. They don't have time in the county attorney's office. They're too busy to work these parking tickets. People in Butte get a lawyer. Who's going to fight? Who's going to want to go to court, a jury trial, to fight over this? I don't see where this is going to make any difference in collecting money than not. You're just going to send out a notice. It'll be like getting a warranty in the mail. People are going to tear it up and throw it in the garbage. You're going to send them another one. That keeps going to happen. So I don't see where this is going to save anything, because anybody in the county attorney's office can tell you there's a load of parking tickets there, some of them that 10, 12 same people have. So I don't see where that helps. That's a comment. The other thing is, it's not just uptown parking. What about downtown, where the rest of us represent districts? There's no parking in anywhere downtown. We're spending all this money for uptown Butte, from Park and Quartz and up this way, Mercury up. What about the cars that are downtown that we're wanting to have something done with? You know, that's not happening. That's a comment. So, you know, is it a bad thing that we're not collecting money in the parking garage? Uptown businesses are thriving because they can park. It's not a bad thing that people are parking for free in the parking garage. I mean, it was done with grant money to start with. So to try and turn this into a private entity so the parking commission can hire more people to run around and serve tickets and do this, it's a lose-lose situation. We're losing money. We're going to lose money. It isn't going to happen. And the other thing is, I don't know how the chief executive can guarantee that it's going to get worse when we've never tried it. We've never tried anything like this. Maybe just take it away and let people see where they park and see how things go. Maybe that's a better idea. We've been fighting the same battle. I've been on the commission over 10 years now. It's an everyday thing. It's an every week thing. You know, everything's coming uptown Butte. What about District 6 and District 1 and 2 out there? We don't see no parking enforcement out in that area. We're blowing money uptown to satisfy people, and we're going to hurt the local businesses by doing it. So I'm getting ready pretty quick to make a motion to deny this, so I'm going to let people speak, then I'm going to make a motion to deny, communicate.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I just want to say that I do get enforcement in District 2. when people call me, I call John, and he sends people out. So I do want to give kudos where they're due. I do know that with the personnel that we have, like a lot of departments, it's complaint-based because we can't be everywhere all the time. And something that is a machine can be somewhere all the time. And I think that is a huge plus. I just want to circle back on something else I have been issued parking or traffic tickets in Seattle. I have been issued tickets in Salt Lake. I have paid them both. I was using a rental car here in Butte one time, had a Montana plate. I paid that ticket too. Those were the only three, and I promise I paid them all. I see parking as a service. There is a public safety component. Those are not revenue generators. They're not designed to generate revenue. At best, we can hope to try to break even. I love things that can be measured. You can't really change things without having something to measure, an objective, a measure, a goal, and how to get there. So I do love that component of this. And we can't keep doing what we're doing. All of the complaints about, being in the red every year, a box of tickets that can't be collected on because there's no really evidentiary matter other than a parking enforcement officer said this car was here for this long. I know that photographs are a huge piece of being able to prove a case. I'm okay with this now, after listening to everything. The arguments that I am hearing are going in a circular way. And I think that if we can monitor this and MPS can do what they say they can do, I think we have to try something. Doing nothing is not an option, and complaining about parking only when parking comes up. If we want to get rid of the parking commission, the study commission can do that if they want to. I don't think that's a good idea either. So at this time, I would make a motion to concur and place on file with communication number 2024-288.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place on file. Is there anything else on the question? Commissioner Anderson and then Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. I have a new hero. I love politics. I like solving problems. It's one of the things why I serve and still serve, even with the headache I get sometimes from it. My doctors and everybody's been telling me I need to quit and step down for some time. I ran into a good friend of mine the other day at Mass, and he told me I needed to step down. But I see people, when they go out on a limb and they take a stand and they do something new, they can solve problems. And that's what my hero did. He's not very nice of a guy, but he's really made a difference in his community. Nayib, and I'm butchering his name, Nayib Bukele, he's the president of El Salvador. It was a murder capital of the world for decades. And I bring this forth because everybody, for decades, 20, 30 years, it's the murder capital of the world. Tens of thousands of people being murdered daily. The thing that changed is he got there and said, no, I'm not going to stand for the status quo. This is ridiculous. This is bullshit. We're going to do something different. He went through and
I would say point of order on cussing, but I'm going to let Commissioner Anderson finish.
He went through and put into place mechanisms to shut down the murder. It's one of the most peaceful countries in the world. We're facing a very similar situation with parking. 3 options have been brought up forth tonight. Continue with the status quo. Nobody wants to stay with the status quo. I don't think. If you like losing the $200,000 to $20,000 a year, fine, great, vote against this. Or we can disband parking altogether. We're gonna save a little bit of money, but not necessarily. We're gonna be cutting off our nose to spite our face. Or 3, we can try a new solution. We can step outside of the box and try something new, try something different. Yes, we haven't done tickets this way before. I've gotten a couple tickets also in Seattle. I spend a great deal of time over there anymore. So I've received a few there. A couple of years ago on vacation, I got a ticket in Denver that has a little camera on a pole. It lames down at the thing. It's no parking, it's free parking on the weekends. Monday at 12:01, boom, picture of the car, my car, with a ticket for being parked there at 12:01 a.m. I hope you're not going to be that rigid. I hope, Mr. Moodry, that your department, when you see this, will say this is ridiculous, no ticket. At 7 a.m., yes, give them a ticket. But it works. It's technology that works. I paid the $40. I paid the $60 in Seattle. I didn't want to, but I figure I'm over there quite a bit. I might as well. I don't want to be in too much trouble. But it's something that works. The projections say that we can pay this 84 actually less than 84. We can pay this less than 84,000 within a year. This could be the first time that the parking department has made money and has actually done something worthwhile. In my 14 years as commissioner, as your 12 years as commissioner, I imagine Mr. Morgan, future commissioner, once again would agree to this, that it's a great idea moving forward. What we need to do is have faith in something. This is the best product out there right now. He's showing the numbers of what we could expect. It's worth taking a chance on. And when I see the money that we spend as a community, it's worth the gamble in my mind. We spent a lot less money, or a lot more money, on a lot less promising return on investments. And I think this has the potential for a lot greater return on our investments. I think we need to follow the example of not tolerating bad behavior. Bulaki said in El Salvador, we're only going to put up with the behaviors that we tolerate. If we don't tolerate the behavior will end. And he's shown that. He went from the murder capital 3 years ago to the lowest, one of the lowest in the world, because they stopped tolerating bad behavior. Our judge, who we've elected, who we've been working with, who's trying to try new things, said that we need something different so he can impact the change that we all want. So why are we going to handcuff him and not give him what he's asking for? I heard that we need to have the police officers writing tickets. They're already busy enough. I'm sure if we ask our officer at the back of the room if he has time during his day to run around writing tickets, he would say no. I know that I get more letters and comments up here about campers and RVs and everything parked illegally. We have 3 patrol officers in the county who write parking tickets right now. With this technology, we could have 53. Actually 55 if we include the 2 in the garage. And 50 of them we don't have to pay a salary to. We don't have to pay health insurance on or anything else. It's a very good benefit to increase those 50 extra people. It frees the 3 people to actually go out into the communities, into all of our neighborhoods, and write those tickets. It gives them time and frees them up to do other things. I will be voting yes on this, and I hope the rest of you will join me. Thank you.
Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Thank you, Mr. Matthews. I appreciate you coming here tonight and explaining what your product does for us. And I honestly believe it could do some really good things for our community. It certainly takes the burden off of our county attorney's office and probably our judges. One of the issues we have, and I'm sure when you did your study, you were probably in shock. We don't write tickets. You know, the comment was made by Mr. Moodray today, we might be taking in $100 worth of revenue in tickets in the parking garage. That's because we're not going in and writing tickets. We have to fix the dysfunction of our department before we can ask this to solve the problem. This will solve some of the problem, but there's gonna, as soon as somebody sees an area that they don't have one of your sticks, then there's nobody controlling that area, and we're gonna have that issue that was over on this block, it'll just move to the next block. So we still have to have people that are gonna write tickets. We still have to have people out there that write the ticket. When they go to work every day, they can't walk past 6 cars and just ignore them being there. When somebody's car is parked on the street for 6 months and it hasn't moved, and they walk past it 5 days a week and didn't write a ticket, all the candles in the world ain't gonna fix that problem. We have to start there first. And I believe your system's gonna work well for us. It's a good start, and I think we should invest in it, but we still have to fix some of the dysfunction of our department. Our current system right now, they take a picture of every ticket. Yes, they do, John.
They don't.
They used to. Why did we stop?
Commissioner Callahan, Director Moodray.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Callahan, because our software is outdated, our hardware is outdated, and I can tell you right now, we cannot write tickets in the garage. We don't have a system in the garage to know who is paid and who is not paid. Our system does not work. We have 1 kiosk in that garage. That kiosk has 2 different software companies that run it. One of them is called Calais, the other one is Flowbird. And that kiosk is down more than it's up. So we can't identify who is paid in that garage at this point in time. And just one other point I'd like to make, to Commissioner Fisher's point and to Commissioner Anderson's point, they are exactly right. My staff is tied to Uptown Butte. They can't go anyplace else. That's where our enforcement is. The only time we leave Uptown Butte, the business district, is we're 100% complaint driven. So if this software and hardware frees up time for my staff so that they can go out into the residential areas and write for camp trailers, write for abandoned vehicles, then it's beneficial, not increasing staff, but getting the staff where it's needed.
Follow
Well,
up.
I'll call you out on that, John.
Follow up.
$100 a month in tickets in the parking garage is pretty hard to say that they're uptown doing their job. We had a situation over here 6 months ago, and we asked you to comment on it. That car that sat there for 2 months with a boot on it. We come to find out one of the judges put a boot on it. What did you tell us in the judiciary meeting? First I heard of it. How does a car sit across the street from the courthouse for 2 months and never get a ticket?
The reason it was the first I heard of it, my staff knew what was going on. They were in communication with the judge, and we went to the judge immediately after that meeting, and the judge is the one that had the boot removed, and my staff is the one that had the vehicle towed. I personally had it towed.
Could you tell us how many tickets that car got in 2 months?
It got 0 because the judge told us not to ticket it because he is the one that booted it.
Could you tell us which judge that was?
Judge McCarthy.
Okay. Getting back to the tickets and the box full of tickets, I had brought that up 6 months ago. Judge McCarthy was watching that meeting. He called me the next day. You know what his comment to me was? I have never received a ticket since I've been on this job from the Parking Commission. That's exactly what he told me that day. And I was well aware of it. I was in the delivery business. I was out there every day. I saw what went on every day. So I knew exactly where the problem was. But he flat out told me on the phone that day, since he had been in that job, which is probably 5 to 6 years now, he had never received a parking ticket from you guys to collect on.
Commissioner Callahan, I will say that comment is true, that, because I worked with Judge McCarthy, but that's what we're trying to
Right.
change that narrative. And we did change that narrative, and we brought tickets forward to him for them to do that. And then he had the issue of he didn't have the evidentiary to do that. This provides that. That's part of the issue here that we're trying to solve. And to your point, the tickets now will be issued by the system in the parking garage, that when you're talking about going in and issuing tickets, that's exactly what will happen. It'll say if that person paid or not. And one other thing that I don't think that has been mentioned here, it also is going to have a mobile app that is going to allow people to pay for their parking there. Our system in the parking garage, I've had people say, I wanted to pay, but the system was down, it didn't work. That we have so many issues with it. A lot of people don't even know there's a kiosk in there to pay. So, if you go to many other communities, you'll see that parking's there. You go up, you put your license plate in, you put your credit card in, and you pay, because that's what's required. And I know I do it in Missoula, I do it in Billings, I do it in Great Falls. Those are all communities that do this. It can be effective. Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Right, and I remember when that parking garage opened. They came to us with a kiosk. Karen Burns came to us, says, we've test run this kiosk, we like this kiosk, would you please sign a contract to use this kiosk? Here we are 6 years later with the kiosks that don't work. Why have we continued the same contract? That's another form of the dysfunction of the department.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Since we're talking about kiosks and contracts, the current ones that we have, where are we at with them? And if we enter into this one, will they be gone? I just want to make sure are we going to, we still on a current lease with them, and now we're going to be double paying on stuff?
Commissioner O'Neill, Director Moodry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner O'Neill. No, that contract will be voided. That contract, we are out of, we can't even find a service contract on it. And it was placed in 2016, so it's 8 years old, not 6 years old. And it doesn't function. It does not function, and it hasn't functioned for years. And I can tell you that ever since my department took over parking, it has not functioned correctly. We have band-aided it to try to get it to work. We don't know who's paying in that garage and who's not.
Follow-up, Commissioner O'Neill, and then we're going to go to Commissioner Fortune. Then
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. So just as you were mentioning in other towns, right, as you do go in, you do have to get a ticket, right? There's that thing that goes down doesn't let you in and out of the deal. So it doesn't?
Okay. Commissioner O'Neill, a lot of them now do not require that. It takes a picture of you, you go in, and so if somebody goes in and goes right out, it records that so that they're not going to send you if you don't pay and you're in, you're out, you're not going to get a ticket. If you go in and you haven't paid, and it needs to be clearly identified, and they pay, then it'll be recorded. If they don't pay and they sit in there for a number of hours, then that's when we can issue them a ticket, and that could be done through the contract and the software that we have here. So that's how the system works. Most places are going away from those because of the damage and I learned a lot throughout this process as well. The day of the arms that are stopping you and doing that, now the technology is the arm and is able to do that. So Commissioner Fortune.
Chief Executive, just a question. Was this service, was there an RFP or a bid? Or I guess just how did we get to you?
Commissioner Fortune, there was an RFP that was put out there. Director Modry.
Chief Executive and Commissioner Fortune, yes, I requested quotes from 3 different companies for different portions of our parking enforcement. MPS is the only one that came back with the 3 requests that I had, which was to update our handhelds, to do the parking garage, and do the citation requests. The other leg that MPS came back was with the safety sticks, so that we could monitor safety areas 24/7. Right now, the only safety areas that are monitored in Uptown Butte are 6 to 6, Monday through Friday. So you can park in every safety zone, every crosswalk, in front of every fire hydrant. And my staff gets phone calls on Monday morning that they've been parked in front of that fire hydrant since Friday night. So law enforcement can issue those tickets, but they don't, because they don't have the time.
Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Thank you again for being here. You know, there are some valid arguments on both sides. I guess my one thought is, Mr. Matthews said something about an 80% compliance rate. I guess I don't know where you come up with that number, and would you guarantee that for Butte-Silver Bowl if we don't come up with an 80%?
Commissioner Sorge, Mr. Matthews.
And then, so if we don't get to 80%, let's say we only get a 30%, it doesn't, because then what? Then what do we do? Then we're going to have to come back and do a more RASU system, or, see, right now we're looking at, that's one of the, there are some good points about it, but I just kind of want to know where you come up with that 80% compliance rate.
I think to Commissioner Anderson's comments earlier, trying something is better than doing nothing. But in this case, you're betting on, a page of history is sometimes worth more than 1,000 pages of logic. So we are in 48 states. We have done thousands of installations. Before we invented and patented this technology, nobody knew that across the United States, only 50% of people pay for on-street parking. If I went tomorrow, if I told you that only 50% of your residents are going to pay your property taxes or their excise taxes or everything else, their water bills, there'd be panic and pandemonium here, right? But nobody knew that only 50% of people were paying for parking. In your case, it's lower than 50%. So can I guarantee it's going to be 80%? I can't guarantee it, but I think in the first year we're going to get it close to that, and certainly over 5 years we're going to get to that. So just as an example, the city of Somerville, Massachusetts is a metro city right outside the city of Boston. In the case of safety sticks, they were writing 5 or 6 violations a day. I think you guys are writing 2 or 3. Somerville signed a contract with us, and within 3 weeks, illegal parking is down by 60%. And in the lots and garages that we install at colleges, universities, cities, sporting venues, hospitality settings. We have the ability, because of a lot of things that Commissioner Anderson said earlier, to modify behavior. So I don't think my founder would let me put 80% in there, but I think over 5 years, we will certainly get there. And if a year from now you're really not happy with the results, either product, you have the option to walk away.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I'd like to point out Schedule A, data in legal terms, media communications. And the point of transparency in government, we're always talking about transparency in government. Transparency, media communications. The parties shall notify and consult with each other concerning any media requests relating to Sentry system. Neither party shall make disparaging public comments about the other or the system. In other words, if right now, tonight, the media is here, the radio, TV, they get this stuff. Well, according to this thing, that's a little bit different that we can, these guys are going to talk, like JP and this company are going to talk before the media gets any info about it. That's not the way government should work. Government should be sent to the public, and then, visited about. The public has to have some input here. And the thing is, John Moodry visited with Mike Smith numerous times on this. And Mr. Moodry, the last comment he made is he wasn't going to make no comments to the media until after tonight's meeting. That's what the comment was made. So I'm just saying in transparency, we got to look at this a little bit from the other side, not just us, but from the whole community. And that was
Commissioner
just a
Fisher,
comment.
can we
May I
have him
respond
answer
to
that? Yeah, Mr. Matthews.
Commissioner Fisher, if I walked down here tonight and news media came up to me and said, what do you think of Commissioner Fisher? I'm sure you wouldn't want me saying bad things about you, and I wouldn't. And this is more of a courtesy principle than a legal principle. I can guarantee that you can take that section out of the agreement if it makes you feel better. We can strike that from the agreement. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you. I do appreciate I'm just speaking for the public. But like I said, as people read this contract that are more knowledgeable than I am, now that's the third time tonight, I believe, you said we could alter the contract or do something different. One was the privacy, the other was something else, now this media thing. It bothers me when we can't have somebody review this contract. Even Deputy County Attorney Shea said she never read the contract. John Moodry might have read the contract, but he's not a legal scholar either. I think this should be
Commissioner
reviewed.
Fisher, I will say that it has been reviewed by the county attorney's office. It just hadn't been reviewed by Deputy County Attorney Shea, but it has been reviewed by the county attorney's office and has gone through that 3 times.
No, it's gone through 3 different county attorneys. It has been reviewed by County Attorney Fivey, by Sean Peterson, and by,
Eileen Joyce?
no.
Oh.
This was all after Eileen.
Oh.
But 3 different county attorneys read the contract. I have comments back from, and received comments back from County Attorney Fivey of changes that we made, Butte-Silver Bow made in that contract. So it has been vetted by our legal department, Butte-Silver Bow's legal department.
Follow Commissioner Fisher and then.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Excuse me. So then, if they've all reviewed it, why are we coming up with this stuff tonight when we don't have a legal scholar in the house here, except for Deputy Attorney Shea, that all this stuff is, well, we can take that out, we can take that out of the contract, we can do this. Well, why hasn't it been taken out? If these are concerns of myself and my constituents, why hasn't it been taken out?
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Fisher, because those legal questions have come up in this forum where they should not come up. You are not a legal scholar. Nobody at this council is a legal scholar. And Mr. Matthews has stood up here and said he's willing to change their contract on their side after it's already been reviewed by our county attorney, his legal department. And every change that he has agreed to tonight has been brought up by a council member.
Thank you. I'll go to Commissioner Sorge and then we'll come back here.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, and this is just a real quick question for Mr. Matthews or whatever. In the event that Butte-Silver Bowl should want to be able to turn this thing off for a few hours, are we going to have that capability of, let's say during, just a what if, during the folk festival, you don't want to have to pay parking. Is Butte-Silver Bowl going to have that capability of doing that, or do they have to get hold of you, or what are they?
Commissioner Sorge, Mr. Matthews.
Yes, under the agreement, you have that right.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Fisher, and then I'm going to go to Commissioner Anderson here.
I would make a motion that we deny communication. I would make a motion we deny communication 2024-288.
So you're having a substitute motion?
Substitute motion.
Okay, we have a substitute motion to deny communication number 2024-288.
Seconded right here.
We have a second with Commissioner Fortune. Is there anything other question? Commissioner Anderson.
Yes. Mr. Moodry, have you talked to Montana Tech? I know there's a lot of areas around Montana Tech that they're always looking for solutions to parking. Mr. Matthews said that he was on a lot of campuses, and I was wondering if that's a collaboration that we could work with. I know that we work together on other issues of parking right now currently.
Commissioner Anderson, Mr. Mudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Anderson, we have a member of Montana Tech staff is on our parking commission, and it has brought up a lot at our parking commission that when we look at revamping our ordinances within parking, that we include Montana Tech, and then we will at that time also, you know, get them in touch with MPS or whoever is doing the parking at that time. But yeah, we do, and there is a lot of concerns with Montana Tech.
Thank you, Director Mudry. Commissioner Callahan.
I just want to comment to that. Tech has their own parking enforcement, and they do very well. First week of school, one guy wrote $10,000 worth of tickets. I think Tech does just fine with their parking.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan. Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny communication number 2024-288. Could commissioners please vote? So you're voting to deny communication number 2024-288. This is the substitute motion. Commissioner Sorge, there we go. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
3 yeas, 7 nay.
3 yeas, 7 nay, motion fails. Now we'll go to the first motion. Yes.
Chief Executive Gallagher, may I speak?
Yes, Commissioner, or Deputy County Attorney
I'm
Shea.
thinking with so many questions right now, and I didn't mean to misrepresent that it wasn't reviewed by the county attorney's office. Ms. Fivey asked me to cover today, and we didn't really speak on this issue. But there seems to be questions regarding changing the contract. I would recommend it be held in abeyance to address the changes that the council is looking at, and any maybe potential other matters, clarification if it's a quote or a bid and those types of things, so that we can make sure everything's in order and then bring it back to council.
Okay, thank you, Deputy County Attorney Shea. So with the order of business here, we do have a motion and a second on there, and so we would have to vote on that and then potentially have a, so if it failed, yeah,
You'd have to be on the.
Commissioner,
Point of orders, no disrespect, but she can't make that comment.
Yeah, she can make
yeah, she can give legal advice on that, yeah.
Legal advice, but can't make the motion.
No, she didn't make a motion,
She's
it was
just
her
offering
advice
an
that
opinion.
we could hold it. So no, we didn't ask for a second. So Commissioner Shea, no.
Since the original motion was mine, I would like to amend my motion to hold this in abeyance, to talk through the changes, and then bring it back to this body for review.
Second.
We have,
It would have to go to me for concurrence since I seconded the
Yeah.
original motion.
yeah,
Personally, I feel the county attorney, Fivey, has gone through this numerous times, and other people have gone through it. I don't know where Commissioner Fisher is getting his legal advice from, as he's mentioned numerous times. He nor any of us up here are legal scholars. We hired 3 legal scholars. The taxpayers have elected one, and we as a governing body appointed another one who the elected one put as her deputy. And I have trust in this body's concurrence with her as county attorney and her decision that this contract is good. And I think we should vote on the motion as it stands.
okay. We had, Commissioner Shea did, so you would have to,
I don't think we need to hold it.
Okay.
I think that we should vote on it as it is.
so question to the county attorney on this, because Commissioner Shea asked to amend her motion, does the person that seconded the motion, do they have to agree with the second, or could another member of the body second the motion to amend her motion?
I really don't know that answer regarding the rules of order here. That's not my
Yeah.
wheelhouse.
It's a new wheelhouse for myself as well. So,
So it would go on to vote how it was originally stated.
okay, Commissioner Thatcher, and then we'll go,
Thank
Okay.
you, Chief Executive Gallagher. This might help, I guess. Director Mudry, if this is over $80,000, I believe it has to go out for public bid. You said that you got quotes. Did it go out for public bid, or did you just receive quotes?
Commissioner Thatcher, Director Mudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Thatcher, it is a lease agreement that is in front of you. It's not a purchase. And from us talking with Finance and Budget,
And
it
County
just
Attorney.
needed the 3 quotes.
Yeah, so it doesn't fall under the same as a purchase, so it didn't require that. Okay.
And one other point, it's professional services. also.
Professional services contract, correct. Commissioner Fortune.
Just, if Commissioner Fisher's had some concerns from his constituents, we have every right to hold this. I mean, what does it matter? I mean, if the community saw this on Friday and they have concerns about it, why can't we hold it? I mean, Fisher brought up 3 comments tonight of concerns, and he's agreed to them. Why do we have to rush this tonight?
Thank you, Commissioner Fortune. So, okay, Commissioner Shea.
So we just sat here tonight and asked our commissioner candidates how they build consensus and solve problems. And this is how we do it, is entertaining. I mean, aren't we entertaining? But is taking everybody's input into consideration. And that is the intent of my amended motion. It is to give the county attorney and MPS the opportunity to come up with an agreement that satisfies everybody. I think we're to a point right now that if we can address the privacy, if we can address some of the other things, I think this will be approved at the very next meeting. So that was the intent of my amendment of my motion. I know that there's someone in the audience that has some procedural knowledge, and I don't know if the parliamentary side of it is something that you feel really strongly about.
Can I call for a
Deputy
5-minute
Attorney
recess?
Shea. Can I rescind my original motion at
And
this point?
If we take a recess, I will research that real
Okay.
quick.
I would make a
Okay.
motion that we take a recess then.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to take a 5-minute recess. All in favor, signal by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We will take 5 minutes.
I need to use the restroom anyway. The main reason why I don't want to postpone it for a week is, as Commissioner Fisher would often say, way too often we spend our time kicking things down the road when we should just act on them when it's
Okay, so we're in recess.
You're right, I think you're right on that. I think you're right on that. So, okay. Well, you could actually, but you're voting on her original motion, you could vote against it or whatever, but you could. Right, yeah. It could be more better.
John, I think the way the rules are, we could go ahead and vote on Michelle's motion, and it's gonna pass. Then she can rescind her motion, she's on the prevailing side. You get 2/3 of the vote to hold her.
I just told her, what did I say earlier? Who should be the chair?
Yeah, but she could, she could
Prove it?
be on the,
Thank you. Enough, right?
but she's in the prevailing side.
We all just made, I don't even know if we're on TV.
I could look on the lady, you could do it. Anyone on the prevailing side could do it.
Well, first of all, it doesn't even matter, this proves it right here. This legal thing is bullshit anyway, because 43 states already use these people. Why would we even challenge that? 48. It's just a game plan with nothing else.
Freaking tweaked my ears coming up the stairs.
Well,
She did.
you know, they're talking about legal shit. Last week's goddamn thing was one of the most bogus ballot things you can have. And they all rushed that through. About the Ramsey thing.
I think she is, yeah. I wouldn't have to.
That was, their poll was one of the most bogus things you could do. And they rushed that through. And then to turn around and say this today?
I had to close the liquor store. We don't close till 5:30, so I'm like, fuck, it's gonna be over.
It's kind of a disappointing tonight. There was like only 5 kids there.
There was? Where Margot North?
It was Margot,
Yeah, Nora doesn't have that.
that Oliver kid,
Oh, yeah, it's college.
Dylan's kid.
Picnic.
There's one more, but that was it.
Really? So what they do? Just
Well, the first time they did like a really fast inning, but then the second time they let all their kids in twice.
twice?
Because like everyone was there for the other teams.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's sad. Well, I know Stignollies are in like at Disneyland or something. But that's all. That's Jesus.
It was the other girl was
Sutton? I don't know. Oh yeah, Sutton Stignolly. Yeah. Oh, she was? I thought they were in Disneyland.
No, they were back.
Oh, not bad. Oh.
Yeah. But that was it. So everyone else was there.
That's sad.
Do we come back tomorrow night? Yeah, we do. So they're throwing these things out. She knows exactly who's sending these messages. Yes, no shit. But she knows that's what it's doing. So that's why she said maybe we need to send this. I think we need.
I think, I don't.
The problem is just why is the parking board? That's what this thing is.
Parking board needs to.
They need to go too, they all need to be changed. Well, the deal is they're all,
For the three still on.
what's his name, Riley from Riley's Meat came in. Tim Taylor.
Parking board?
That McClure, all three girls, I don't know. He pushed through that. And the one gal that was the boss, she was asking, what happened was, what happened was you get a new person in there, and they start doing the job, and then they turn around. Huh?
You might make classmate one.
I know. Tell me about it. I was gonna write a paper tonight. I'm not going.
I'd like to call us back into session. If we can have everyone come back and. So, coming back to where we were at here, we had a motion that failed. We came back to the original motion. Commissioner Shea wanted to amend her motion. It would require that Commissioner Anderson concur with the second on it if we were to amend the motion. So.
Actually, it should be a motion to withdraw the motion, the original motion.
Yeah.
And he would have to consent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
to
because
amend-
my last
To amend
try
that
to
motion.
amend did not
Yeah.
get a second, so I would like to make a motion to rescind my original motion.
No, thanks.
Will you consent to that?
No.
So now
Okay.
you have to go back to the original motion to
So
vote
we're,
on that?
so we're going back to the original motion to concur and place on file communication number 2024-288. Could commissioners please, okay,
I
We have-
would like this
okay.
question answered over here.
so Commissioner Fisher has discussion before we go to the voting here.
So, in consulting with former chairman, if we were to vote on this and deny it, then we could make a motion to hold it. If we make a motion to pass it, We gotta live with the language in it as it is, without any corrections, because we're passing it as it is, with no corrections in the contract.
Commissioner Fisher, Mr. Chief Executive, members of the council, if it's denied, it can be, there can be another motion to place it on the agenda another time. I think if it's denied, it's denied. So,
Okay, so if on the original motion now, I'm just getting clarity of this. On the original motion, which it is to concur and place on file, if it fails, then it just dies. And then we cannot make a motion to bring it back.
that you can make a motion for reconsideration.
Would that be but if it died, it wouldn't be reconsideration. If it passed, then the original person could bring it back and say, I would like to reconsider the successful passage.
A motion for reconsideration of the original motion, but you would need 2/3 of the vote to do that.
Yes, right, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
And that can be done at another, doesn't have to be, wouldn't be done
right.
tonight.
It could be done at another time. Okay.
That is correct.
So what we could do here, and just to make sure we know the process, is that right now we are voting on the original motion that Commissioner Shea and was seconded by Commissioner Anderson was to concur and place on file the communication number 2024-288. If it passes, then at another meeting, there could be, Commissioner Shea could ask for reconsideration of that at another time. If it fails on the motion, and there is no reconsideration after that.
My understanding, there could be a motion for reconsideration if it
Even
fails,
if it
but you still
passes
need
or
2/3 of
fails.
the vote.
If it passes, it passes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
On the
Commissioner Shea.
On the question, I don't know that we got an answer to the question of whether or not it needed to go out for bid.
Okay. And I apologize to the council. We don't follow Mason's rules of order in the courtroom, and I'm this is not my wheelhouse at council, so bear with me. When it was mentioned that this was a bid, what I looked into was competitive and advertised bidding required for certain large purchases or construction contracts. And because this is over $80,000, we're talking about equipment here, I believe that it needs to go out for a bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Shea. Commissioner Callahan.
I believe Mr. Moudray clarified that and said it's not a bid, it's a lease.
Could we have Director Moudray kind of give the background on the information that why we will consider this as not under that threshold, and where we got the information?
Chief Executive Gallagher, the reason it is not considered, or it's not felt to be considered as a purchase, it is a lease. We will not take ownership of any of the equipment. The ownership will stay with MPS. We will pay licensing fees for the use of their platform. It's all in one, and it is broken out. The only thing that was felt that would have to go out to bid was the actual installation of the equipment. There is a charge of $20,000 to install the equipment. So we're under the $20,000, but there are, and it is professional services. I mean, it is, we are not, Butte-Silver Bow is not taking possession of any equipment. It is a lease agreement, a 5-year lease. At the end of the lease, we would have to negotiate to either purchase the equipment or replace the equipment, which, as everybody knows, in technology and in hardware and software, in 5 years it's all going to be obsolete. So we're going to be looking at probably replacing it. Or we're going to end up in the same boat we're in right now, where we have obsolete equipment and obsolete software, which does not work.
Thank you, Director Moudray. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Chief Executive. So I guess just on the question too of that before you brought that here, you guys talked about that, right? Through the county attorney's office, someone in there provided the information that you could go forward with this because it wasn't a purchase, right?
Commissioner O'Neill, Director Moudry.
Commissioner, or Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner O'Neill, 3 different county attorneys reviewed the contracts within our county attorney with acting county attorney. He is the one that replied. I have emails from her. We requested changes. Butte-Silver Bowl requested changes to the original proposed contract. MPS agreed to those changes, and that's what you have before you tonight.
Thank you, Director Moudry. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Thank you, Mr. Moudry. The point is, it's over $80,000. It's a one-pay lease. It's an upfront pay, right? So it is over $80,000. If it was a lease yearly, you'd be under $80,000. But this is upfront, over $80,000, one-term lease, just like if you're leasing any equipment. It's a one-time lease, so you're coming up with over $80,000, should be bid.
Commissioner Fisher, Director Moudry.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Fisher, it is a 5-year lease, and we are prepaying the lease for 5 years. But we have the ability, which I am the one that requested it, the 90-day review. So at 90 days, either party, every 90 days, can review this and request to get removed from the lease.
Thank you, Director Moudry. Commissioner Fortune.
I think Commissioner Fisher's right. I'm the worst on complaining about bidding, fair bidding. So I'm with him. I think it needs to be bid out. I think it's too big of a gray area, and I think we lease other equipment like, skid steers and things like that, and I think every bit of it gets bid out. So I have a hard time accepting this if it wasn't advertised or anything.
Thank you, Commissioner Fortune.
Can I just ask one question? I just need to know. In your packets, did you get a copy of the draft invoice, which I sent with my request?
Director
And that
Moudry,
shows you an actual breakdown of the costs for everything. I have a copy of it with me, but it was in my original submittal to council.
Commissioner Fortune.
Does the breakdown matter, or does the total amount matter?
Commissioner Fortune, I think that's where we're kind of discussing this. It could be broke out over 5 years, and it would be under the threshold over that 5 years and paid for over incrementally each year, brought to this body, or as requested by Commissioner or Director Moudry, that he wanted to do the upfront one lump sum on this. So I don't know if there's a definitive answer to that. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. Looking at the original document, it is broken down in 4 parts: 4 cameras, related equipment, service warranty, $23,300, 2 kiosks, $22,600, 3 handheld parking, $18,000, and installation of $20,000 for a total of $83,900.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. I think County Attorney Shea has.
My concern would be, Chief Executive Gallagher, my concern would be that that was considered bid splitting. If you put it out over several years, or, in that regard, and I just think that that's what it looks like.
Thank you, County Attorney Shea. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. So if the 3 people in the county attorney's office looked at this and had it come here to go through this tonight, then if we're going to hold it, then we should probably hire another attorney out to make sure we're doing the right thing. Would that be somewhere we want to go with this?
No.
Commissioner O'Neill and County Attorney Shea.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner O'Neill, Commissioners. Unfortunately, I was not one of the three. So I think that, as things happen in law, that when questions come up, and I do believe that these things happen, commissioners have questions about contracts. That's why it's before your body. You decide you want certain changes done. You hold things in abeyance to get those changes and have them reviewed legally. So I don't know what the three attorneys in our office specifically, what they specifically approved. I was not privy to that conversation. I drew the short straw tonight to cover for Ms. Fivey, and I apologize. I did not look at the contract. It was late in the day. So you don't need another attorney to do that. You just need to allow the county attorney's office to research and answer the questions that this body's putting forth.
Thank you, County Attorney Shea. Commissioner Callahan?
Thank
and
you,
then we'll
Chief Executive.
go back.
Ms. Shea, Mr. Mudry said we have a 90-day grace period. We can make a decision. Would that also work under the same thing, or would we be better off to go the other route?
Commissioner Callahan, County Attorney Shea.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Callahan, if the 90-day grace period means that you've entered into the contract and change it, I just don't think I don't think that would be a good idea, considering all the changes that the commissioners are asking for at this point.
Thank County Attorney Shea. So Director Mudry,
I just want to add some clarity there. It's not a 90-day grace period. It's a 90-day review of the program every 90 days. And after 90 days of review, either party to the contracts in writing can request to dissolve the contracts.
thank you, Director
And that
Mudry.
was my work with the county attorney and with the budget and finance that we were entering into a long-term lease.
Thank you, Director Mudry. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. So if we pay them $83,900 up front, they got the money. So we got to do something to get it back. This is exactly what Attorney Shea just said. This is bid splitting. If you start letting people do this, you're going to have $150,000, $200,000 bids coming in with a total amount of $150,000 broken into 5 sectors of $25,000 each, because you're allowing split bidding. This is a one-time pay lease, $83,900, one-time pay, should be bid out. That's as simple as that, as far as I can see.
Thanks, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Thatcher. And then,
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. So with all the, I guess, confusion with the motions, is somebody else able to make a substitute motion? Can I make a substitute motion to
so
hold it in abeyance?
we already have had a substitute motion, so we've got to go to the original motion. I think we need to act on that, and then we can move forward from there. Commissioner Shea. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. I think one of the clarification factors that we might have on this is that, Mr. Mudry, did you put requests for proposals out for this?
Commissioner Anderson, Director Mudry.
I put requests out to bid all the factors that we needed to update our whole system. One bid came back from another company, and I'm not going to mention it tonight, but the other company came back. They bid one portion of it, which was just to replace our handhelds and our ticketing system. Nothing with the garage, and nothing as far as the safety sticks go. They only bid one portion of it. And I can tell you it was way more expensive, and it was a lease. It was a 3-year lease that they proposed that came back. The other company that I requested quotes from did not respond.
So I think the answer to that question is we didn't put out a request for a proposal. We requested bids from companies. And so we went that route. So that's the difference. So it's allowable to do that in certain circumstances, and I think that's where the confusion is right now, is that if it's a professional services agreement, you can have it over 80,000. If it's equipment, and I think that's the where we're at right here, it would have to by law that it has to go out for a request for a proposal over, because it would be over $80,000. So that's where the question is. So, Commissioner Shea.
Gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. With this much confusion over this, I'm going to ask one more time to rescind my bid,
No,
or
thank you.
my motion.
No, thank you, and I'd call for the vote.
Okay, so there's a call for the vote. So we're going to vote on the call for the vote, right? That's the first thing we have to do. So now, commissioners, you're voting on the call for the vote, okay?
End discussion.
And then discussion, right? Okay. So there's a vote to call for the vote. So could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
4 yeas, 6 nay.
4 yea, 6 nay, so we can continue on with discussion. Okay, Commissioner Shea.
I think that we need to be 100% certain that we're doing things the right way. I'm really grateful that the question came up because it wasn't something that was on my radar, and it should have been. So I apologize to everybody out here that it wasn't on my radar. We've done things wrong in the past, and that doesn't mean we have to continue to make the same mistake over and over. I mean, that's the definition of insanity, right, is just doing the same thing over and over without learning the lesson. But there is zero harm in holding this. There could be harm in approving it. And I will state one more time, I am requesting to rescind my motion.
No, you just now you voted just to call for the vote. And so that died, so the vote couldn't be called. And so that's, I thought I clarified that before we did that. So what it is, it just brings us back to where we were before, where we have continued discussion. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. One of my questions is on the concerns of the contract. Can we go over that, what our, couple of the ones that were, the privacy issue? I don't see the issue in that. Somebody illegally parks somewhere for so long, you get the license plate. I don't understand the issue that I can get license plate numbers myself. I can go take pictures of them. I don't understand the concern there. It's the person's going to get a ticket for parking there for over 2 hours, and we get their information. It's going on all over the country. That one I'm confused by why we're worried about that one. The other ones, I apologize, I forgot about what the other concerns were on the contract. So my apologies. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the concern is the over $80,000 contract. So, so if there's no further discussion, we could, Commissioner Callahan.
I guess my comment to the $80,000 contract, we take contracts all the time in the public works when only one person bids it.
Yeah, Commissioner Callahan, but it goes out for an RFP, and if it just is, we only receive one, then we can accept it. We don't have to have 3 when it's an RFP. It just, we have to, if the equipment is going to be over $80,000, we're required to put an RFP so that they put that forward. Yes, Commissioner Callahan.
I think Mr. Moudray told us they put a request out and only one other company put a bid in for only part of the request.
The difference is he requested bids. It just, just a quote to them directly. There wasn't a public RFP put out. So that's the difference. Okay. So if there's no, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I think it's in the best interest of we as commissioners to take the advice of the sitting county attorney at our meeting tonight. I don't know how we do that, but that is what we should do, is take the recommendation of the person that is our legal advice tonight. That's what we should do.
So by the rules of what we need to follow here, though, we have a motion on the floor. We had a call for the vote that was denied. It failed. So we could have further discussion, but we are to the point where we need to vote on the original motion. From there can be other actions taken. And so if there's no further discussion, I would say let's call. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask commissioners to vote. And so the vote is to concur and place on file communication number 2024-288. She's not able to because the person that seconded it. Okay. So no further discussion. Could commissioners please vote?
Do you want to explain to everybody one more time?
The motion is to concur and place on file, which would be an approval of communication number 2024-288.
And if it's approved,
Then there could be further action by the person that made the motion to reconsider. Yeah, either way. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is everybody okay? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
5 yeas, 5 nay.
And you get to make the choice.
So based on the information that was given today, what I don't want to do is kill this. I want more information on this. So could you pull that vote back up again? Let me just... And making sure we understand where we're at here. So if we deny this tonight, it's dead, and then we need to go, this communication be dead.
There could be a motion to reconsider
Either way,
by 2/3 of the vote.
right? Okay. So based on the information that we got today, and based on the county attorney's recommendation, and I know that she reached out to get some more legal advice from people that have background on this, I am going to vote to deny this so that will move forward, and then we will work to bring this back forward with the correct process. Okay. So there's no further discussion on that.
I think somebody that voted to deny it can't bring it back. It has to be one of us that wants to change their vote.
No. It's on the
It's on the prevailing side. So the prevailing side would be a deny.
I guess one question is, if you deny it and it has to come back and it has to pass by 2/3, what's the odds of passing?
Yeah, I think we do need to move on this. Okay. Okay, so now we'll move on to item number 18, communication number 2024-303. Mark Neri, Public Works Director, requesting council commissioners permission to institute odd even time on day sprinkling restrictions effective June 20th, 2024. An ad will go into the Montana standard of the restrictions and fines associated with non-compliance. Commissioner Shea.
All right, let's move on to something different. I listened to council meetings before I was ever on the council, and I remember Commissioner Foley always talking about, he thought that there should be water conservation measures in place year-round. I just want to say that I agree with that, and I think moving forward, we do call it something different, like a water conservation period. And I would just implore any public who is still listening or anybody who may listen to the replay, please pay attention and follow the water regulations, because it is so important while we're trying to repair our sources. I just wanted to get that out there. And so with that, I'll just make a motion to concur and place on file communication number 2024-303.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place on file communication number 2024. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Anderson.
I'm just going to make a real quick comment on this, which will be a rarity for me. But I believe that we put something very similar to this with the sprinkling restrictions in about 4 years ago. So I find this to be redundant, but all the same I will be voting for it.
Commissioner Anderson, I think Director Neary can address that really quick.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher and Commissioner Anderson. It is in our ordinance, but it has to come to this body whenever we want to implement it. The water restrictions. A lot of people do, and we thank them for that, but they have to be implemented by the commission. We request it, and then the commission puts it in.
Thank you, Director Neary. And I think that that's something that we should be thinking about, is the water conservation and what we could do with that. So thank you. Okay, any other comments? Could Commissioner, County Attorney Shea.
Sorry. And I know you don't want to go back to the previous communication, but if we could go back to the communication regarding the parking. Now that it has failed, there can be a new motion to hold it in abeyance. And then it can be addressed once all these questions have been answered.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's vote on this one and then we can address back. Okay. Could Commissioners please communication number 2024-303 to concur and place on file? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote. Do you want to change your vote? Okay. So Commissioner Thatcher would like to change her vote to a yay rather than a nay. I believe she's seeing red. Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. So, Commissioner Shea, I don't know if, County Attorney Shea.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. So you had a motion to deny failed. You had a motion to approve failed. So now you can make a new motion to hold it in abeyance.
Okay. Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. At this time, I would like to make a motion to hold communication number 2024-288 in abeyance.
We have a motion and a second to hold communication number, go back, 2024-288 and hold in abeyance. Anything on the question? Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much. Would we first need to have a motion to reconsider?
No, because, I'm sorry.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson, County Attorney Shea.
I'm really getting the lesson on Mason's rules of order tonight. No, because you've had two motions, and you can take action on this communication. Both motions that you did to take action failed, and so now there can be the new motion to hold it in abeyance.
Thank you, County Attorney Shea. So that gives us clarity. So because both motions failed that were kind of counter to each other, now we're back that you could hold it in abeyance. Okay. Commissioner Callahan.
I guess, Ms. Shea, does this mean next week, if we hold it in abeyance, it still has to pass by 2/3?
Commissioner Callahan, County Attorney Shea.
No, only motions to reconsider have to be passed by 2/3.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So can commissioners please vote? This is to hold in abeyance number 2024-288. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay. No nay. So we will have the communication number 2024-288 is held in abeyance. Okay. All right. Moving on to Section 2, ordinance and resolution introduced to judiciary. We have two of them. Please pay attention to those two. Moving on to Section 3, ordinance and resolutions for final reading. We have two in this one as well. First one's resolution number 2024-23. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution approving comprehensive plan amendment number 24-000002 to approve changes to the 2020 Butte-Silver Bow Comprehensive Plan, incorporating by reference the Butte-Silver Bow Safety, Health, and Resiliency Plan to the appendices of the Butte-Silver Bow Comprehensive Plan, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would make a motion to move resolution number 2024-23 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2024-23 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 1 nay.
9 yea, 1 nay, 1 nay, motion passes. Moving on to item number 2, resolution number 2024-24. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution granting conditional approval of the 4-7 Ranch Estates minor subdivision of the City and County of Butte-Silver Bow, State of Montana, providing for the repeal of all parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I would make a motion to place resolution number 2024-24 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2024-24 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Okay, looking at the calendar and other events, please note all the dates and times of those. And next we'll move on to any public comment on any item that is not on the agenda. Please come forward, state your name, address, and what you would like to speak to us about.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. John Morgan, 2630 Meadowbrook Lane. Just wanted to thank you for the opportunity that you gave me tonight, and I look forward to the upcoming debates that we will have.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Congratulations. Next, I would, Commissioner Shea.
Just really quick, everybody. Remember the email I sent you about 2 weeks ago asking who wanted me to order them a copy of Mason's Manual of Legislative Process? I'm going to go ahead and make the decision to order one for everybody.
That's good. Thank you, Commissioner Shea. With that, I would take a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Those opposed? We are adjourned.